Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the weekly MMA Cycles Market Update. Today is Wednesday, the 2nd of April, 2025, and I'm Gianni DePoce, your host. It's a really important day for markets today. It appears that we will have the conclusion of the tariff uncertainty. The market has had its fair share of tariff tantrums year to date, but we're coming to a climax on that mark. And we can go ahead and take a look at the Dow here. We're seeing stocks rally very nicely so far. There have been some, I guess, compromises with certain pockets of the world surrounding the tariffs. Like I saw Israel was dropping their tariffs on the U.S. In response to the threat of tariffs for U.S. imports, but we'll see what the announcement brings. But as I look at the astrology of the day, that's what has my attention above all, because we have the moon in Gemini. So that means that Mercury is ruling the day, and it's a Wednesday, no less. But Mercury is retrograde. So I've been saying today is a really good day when it comes to the market to believe only what you see and not what you hear. Okay, so we're going to be hearing a lot of chatter, good, bad, ugly. But I think right now it's really important to focus on the cycles. We know that the geocosmic miscommunications and focus on the price action. So far, it's good. We did have a really notable situation that unfolded on Monday, because you had a situation where the NASDAQ 100 dropped and took out that low from March 13th, but the Dow did not. So that's a pretty important divergence signal and gives us an idea that a low, perhaps not the low, is complete in the near term. And keep in mind that we are coming toward the end of this Mercury retrograde period. Mercury is going to go stationary direct next Monday. That's actually on the 7th of April. And then Venus is going to be going direct next weekend on the 12th. So the period of retrograde, the retrograde period that Ray's been talking about with all the personal planets, it's been in effect for a few months now. That's finally coming to an end. We're on the last 10 days of that, if you will. So we should get a little bit more clarity in markets on that matter. To start off this week, we did have Neptune ingress into Aries, so we're getting a little bit of a taste of the future here. Of course, Neptune will retrograde back into Pisces later this year, but we are getting an early glimpse of what Neptune in Aries may be like. And, for stocks, it's still, we're coming out of a downtrend, or at least trying to. But I'm most interested about Neptune as it pertains to precious metals, because gold has been making new all-time highs. We know that precious metals tends to vibe well with Neptune, especially. But as gold, spins its wheels here near the all-time highs, I'm watching silver here for a big potential breakout. Now, later this week, we have Mars trine Saturn. But I think for precious metals, Venus changing directions may be more important, especially when it comes to silver. But, starting off this week with Neptune, giving us a little bit of a preview of its time in Aries, I think it will be a good one for precious metals, especially when you consider that the sun is exalted in Aries, and the sun rules gold. And then later this year, we also have Jupiter going into Cancer. Obviously, silver is ruled by Cancer through the moon. So we have two planets, both Jupiter and Neptune, which are known for inflation and manias and growth in signs that relate to precious metals. So I think this could be a really interesting environment. And of course, we have to consider the square between Jupiter and Neptune that's coming just 3 days after Jupiter-Saturn square in June. But it seems to be a nice environment for precious metals right now. That said, I think there probably is more value in silver at the moment. If we take a look at bonds, we did have a jobs report today that actually came in stronger than expected. And we have to also be on the lookout for the jobs report on Friday. The unemployment numbers will be released. We have not taken out this high from March 4th in TLT, although we did see that high taken out in the 10-year Treasury note. Remember, TLT looks at longer-term bonds, but we did take out that high in the 10-year note. So that could be a bit of a divergence signal that we should continue to monitor closely. You take a look at USO here, Neptune in Aries is also probably going to be pretty important for the energy market, given Neptune's co-rulership of oil with Jupiter. But we've had a nice rally off of those lows from early March. And, when we look at crude oil, I've been saying that we're in a sweet spot where, the producers, the energy companies can still make money, but it's not really a big risk of inflation just yet. But with Neptune and Aries now, historically, Neptune in the fire signs has been shown to be inflationary. So that's something that's on our radar, but we might not see it really take off until Neptune makes its definitive ingress into Aries next year. But nonetheless, oil here kind of just spinning its wheels, not really a big update to be had on this one. I do want to take a look at currencies real quick, especially the euro, because we're coming out of a higher low on March 26th. And we definitely need to keep an eye on currencies going into Venus direct next week. So be on the lookout for big reversals. The dollar weakening, money has been moving abroad from the US into other markets, but the euro has been climbing higher, and it looks like the trend in the near term remains to the upside. Of course, let's take a look at cryptocurrencies and see what's happening there. Bitcoin looks like it wants to have another test of that really important technical zone of 88 to 90,000. I would like to remind everyone that Mars is still in Cancer, and we often see 20% moves. The price of Bitcoin in one direction or the other with Mars and Cancer. And interestingly, we've had that happen before Mars went retrograde, and then after again, Mars went direct. So, we're still in that period right now, but I'm also going to be looking at Venus changing directions next week to give us a better sense of whether a low was complete. But I will say this, if we start to close above 88, 90,000, it sends a pretty strong signal in my book that a low of significance is complete. When it comes to Ethereum, it's a very similar situation. I've talked about before how Venus going through the sign of Taurus has been pretty important for Bitcoin and 20% moves. Right now, Venus is in Pisces, and we would be in Taurus normally if it weren't for the retrograde motion. So it's going to come a little bit later, but if we do bottom out in crypto before Venus goes direct, I think that would be a good setup for Venus to go into Taurus in a few weeks here. But when you take a look at Ethereum, it's a similar setup to Bitcoin, except that we need to take out this like $2,100, $2,300 level. If we do that, I think it'll send a strong signal that a low of significance is complete. That's all I have today. I really appreciate you tuning in. Please hit the like button and subscribe. We have weekly updates. I have two very exciting guests coming on in April, so you definitely want to be ready for those two guests to join us. But that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week, same time, same place. Enjoy.